So, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about timeout and punishment. I feel like you asked me that because I'm Jamaican.
No, I'm Nigerian, so that don't make no difference.
It's true.
If anything,
Well,
it's worse on my side.
worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you guys are worse.
Punishment? Mate, it was...
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, for good reason. I would never just come out the gate and be like, I used to get smacked. At the end of the day, discipline... What's that verse in the Bible?
Don't spare the rod and spoil the child. Yeah.
Don't do that, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, everybody is aware, like in African culture back in the day, not just African culture, British culture.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you got smacked. You got smacked at schools, mate.
Do you want to smack?
You know? But back in the day, kids used to get smacked at schools.
Yeah.
And so people look on that now from this time, and they look with this time's lens and go, oh my God, that's so bad, that's bad. But that was the times back then.
Yeah.
You did something wrong, you got disciplined for it.
Yeah.
And people, you weren't getting torn up in school. The teachers weren't there kicking you about the place and like 10 lashes. It weren't that. You'd get a smack on the bum, go sit down.
Yeah.
They stopped that, rightfully so. And then also with time and understanding with, children's like child psychology and, delving really deep into like psychology of a child after, getting smacked and the trauma that brings. Experts, should I say, started understanding that, hey, we might need to stop smacking our children.
Yeah.
And so it's something that has developed over time. We've developed that understanding over time. So sometimes I don't like it when, especially like teenagers of this generation, talk about my generation or older and look down upon it because of some of the cultural practices. It's just like, it was a totally different time.
It was a different time.
It really was.
And I don't think you had as many people that were distracted and, less focused. Like this generation are very distracted, not focused at all. So I think a lot of the discipline comes from a place of not wanting to be distracted by having to discipline and do other things. So it's more kind of like a reactive sort of action to children and caring for them, as opposed to the more sort of intentional proactive parenting and caring for children that would happen before now. So I think then like your parents, I didn't grow up personally getting smacked. Like we were very disciplined children, but we didn't get smacked, mainly because my dad's upbringing was really a really hard one. He was essentially, like, now we look back, he was abused as a child because he grew up with an aunt. So his mum and dad didn't raise him. He grew up with a very wealthy aunt, where he was basically like the house boy alongside two of his other cousins that lived there, and they would cook, they would clean, they would wash the floors, like they would do all the chores in the house. And then on top of it, if they didn't do a good job, they would get like a lot of beats, like really, really badly. So he always vowed to himself that once he had children, he wouldn't do it. And so he didn't let anybody smack us, not my mum, not my sibling. Like, as siblings, we couldn't smack each other, and other family members also couldn't smack us as well. So, but I don't know where it came from, but we were so disciplined just in our behaviours, how we conducted ourselves and stuff. We almost had a fear of, like, we've never been smacked, but we also don't ever want to get smacked. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, it was different for me, obviously. I got smacked, but it was never traumatic. And that's just my experience. Because I do empathise and sympathise with some of the children that got abused, because there were some children that were getting bush bashed all over the place, and that is not funny in any way, shape or form. Whereas with me, it was never that. It was a stop it kind of thing. Like, you don't do that.
And they call it clip around the
ear. Yeah, like you get popped, you know what I'm saying? Like, bow, stop. Enough. You're doing too much. Or like, I really messed up. Like, I remember when I got suspended from school the first time, my mum was so upset because it was just like, I didn't raise you to go around. You're fighting people and you're having a brawl at school and all that. Like, what? So she was so disappointed in me at that time. And it was just like, rightfully so. You deserve that. It was out of frustration, but it was like a rightfully so. Yeah. And I remember that day I was just like, I messed up.
Yeah, like I deserve that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what it was. Obviously, I joke about it in my comedy and I talk about, getting beats and stuff like that. And the crying and all of that kind of stuff. But that's just children.
I actually remember, right, my mum shouting at me. And I went to my room and I cried as though like someone actually smacked me.
But okay.
Yeah.
So, but this is why me as a dad, the threats.
Yeah.
That's all I need. When I clock that, all I need to do is just threaten you. I don't even need to raise my hand.
Yeah.
You messed up. Don't do that. No more. I'm going to take this away. And then you see them there.
Yeah.
I'm like, run. Just from me.
That's literally what I had.
Like, okay, I don't need to raise my hand.
Yeah.
I don't need to raise my hand and do anything.
That is literally what I had.
Yeah.
And I actually remember going to my room and like really like hyperventilating.
Yeah. That's why our son gets
looking in the mirror. Did you ever do this as a child?
What, look in the mirror?
Yeah, crying.
You just want to see the tears.
Coming down. You'd be like, did that long blink.
It was a crying for me to and then you try and talk and you're still stuttering. You're like, mummy, and your parents have to be like, all right, just control yourself. Just chill out. And then speak. Because
I would do that and legit sit in the mirror waiting to see the tear come down, and then I would do the long squeeze so it can come out of my eye and run down. But then I would say to myself, look at you. That's what I would say to myself. Look at you. You look ridiculous.
You're pathetic.
Stop. And then I'll continue to cry.
Of course. Because you're so distraught. You don't... One thing I've got, you don't need to hit your child.
Nah.
You just taking something away from them is enough to break their hearts. Smacking them actually does nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I learned that lesson, because as a parent now, you think to yourself, you have to do the things that, you grew up seeing or you grew up experiencing. And it's just like, I don't have to do any of that. And that makes me feel, I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy about that. And that's no disrespect to my mum and that generation.
No,
I
mean, they did what
she
they
wasn't
thought.
A monster.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm happy I had that. I'm happy that I never had a monster in my house.
Yeah.
That was abusive. That was never the case.
Yeah. And it was always discipline and correction from a place of love as well. Like, I never felt like, I'm being shouted at because I'm a bad child.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I
always knew I'm being shouted at because I'm expected to be a good child. Do you understand? And that correction is for my betterment. It's not for them to feel like I've done my job. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It was always, for me, it was always from a place of, I taught you better.
Yes.
Where did this come from?
Exactly.
Where did you learn this from? You following friends? Are you doing this? Where's this behavior coming from? Because I give you everything. I work so hard. And this is how you repay me, by this behavior.
Exactly.
It was always from a place of disappointment.
Yeah.
And I would always feel bad afterwards and come and apologize for what I know I did. Yeah. And the fact that I tried to lie.
Exactly.
About that was me, but I'd lie.
Really?
What? I would lie. I'd steal stuff, and then my mum would be like, "Did you steal this thing?" No, I didn't do it. I didn't. And probably thinking that I convinced her. And then when my mum clocked, she'd be like, "What? And you lied to bold face? Are you coming?" Boom! Give a smack on your bum, and you'd be like, and be dramatic. That was me, boy. Drama king, boy. And it was a different time, man.
Yeah.
But they're making it illegal. Well, they're announcing that they're gonna make it illegal, smacking.
Really?
Yeah. So you wouldn't even be able to be like, "Hey, stop." Yeah, that. Mate.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny. I remember, right, being younger, and like my mum would shout at us, and then I'll do that, cry in my room, and then I'll be like, under my breath, I'm calling social services.
Or Childline. We had Childline.
Yeah,
in my day.
Childline, yeah.
Childline.
So my mum would literally say to me, she's like, listen, if you want to call them, call them. Yeah, call them.
'Cause guess what will happen to you?
Call them. Make them come collect you and carry your got upper arm. That's what they'll say, upper arm. But they don't know where. Yeah, upper arm, wait name there. And when them done with it up there, you not have nowhere for come back. Yeah. That's what they, because their thing is, you're not going to stay in my house, right?
Yeah.
And turn out to be a cruff.
No.
Basic cruff meaning you're not going to amount to nothing.
Yeah.
You're not going to turn out to be anything in life. You're not staying in this house and becoming that. And I'm not going to not discipline you because you think that you should be allowed to just do whatever you want. No, it doesn't go like that. I am going to be a parent for you for as long as you're under my roof.
Yes.
When you're old enough and you move out, that's your own concern.
Yeah,
you look after yourself then.
Yeah.
But for as long as you live under this roof,
That's it.
It is my duty to discipline and correct you
right.
and reprove
Yep.
and make sure that every single thing that you're doing is being done properly. So when you leave here, I don't have no concerns.
And